What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger comic book review episode. We are at episode 431 as we march towards 440. We'll be in the triple fours soon. Not for a while, but I mean, we'll be there eventually. We're going to be hitting 450 in the middle of this year. I think when we'll be hitting our 500 the following year.
Like July, August.
I'm thinking too far into the future. We're going to rewind a little bit. First of all, Justin, welcome. Exile State Comics. He was here first to this time. I think Jesse was here last week first. Tevia's in the comments. What's up, Tevia? So we have 18 books this week. We
have 20 books. I think.
Oh, right. You added a few of yours.
Only 2 more.
Right. 18, 19, 20. So
yeah. So there we go.
They were released on?
Oh, I didn't know. They were released on February 7, 2018, the first week of February. And we have all digitals right here.
Yep. Even though we got a physical
tablet.
Yeah, I will say, I will admit, I forgot to order Batman Shadow because it's coming out of Dynamite. So now I know I have to make an order at Midtown for this issue and possibly the last. I think there's one more issue after this or 2 more. I made a mistake. What's up, Jeremy Renfro? Jeremy Renfro in comments. You keep changing your name, and every time I see you, I want to say what your name is, but I know it's Jeremy Renfro. But anyway, hopefully you guys are enjoying. Last week, by the way, just really quick little channel update as people are coming in, just to give you guys a little intro video, the intro to this episode. Just really quickly, I did do a Shadow of Colossus unboxing last week, so if you are fans of the game and you'd like to see what the special edition looked like, Mike and I did a live unboxing of it. It's up. It's on the channel. It's the video right before this. That went up right before this video a few days ago. This week we actually have a special video. Might happen tomorrow. I'm not sure because there might be certain things happening tomorrow that I've been informed about. So if that's the case, we might not, or I might throw out a really, really, really quick video on it, or it might be posted on Wednesday. Not sure, but I'm really excited for this. It's coming in the mail. I'm really, really super excited. So expect the video either tomorrow or if I'm busy tomorrow, Wednesday, which means also tentatively we're not. We'll have a special video this week, though. It's going to be fun. I hope you guys are enjoying the random videos we're throwing up every now and again. I'll be doing that from time to time, of course, and we'll have some other videos going up in that fashion as well. All right, so we've spent enough time introing. So thank you all for being here so far. Feel free to comment about any of the books we're talking about. And here we go. Honorable mention because I just started reading it. Rose issue number 8. I feel like I missed issue number 7. I'm not completely sure. It has been a while. Rose just came back from her break. So I'm going to wait and go back in my library and see if I actually did read issue 7. If not, I'm going to go back and read that first because when I started reading the book, it felt a little bit like I didn't, but I think I did. You know, that's the one thing with Image that drives me nuts is the books from Image take 6 to 8 months, 4 to 6 months break in between story arcs like Birthright, Saga. Another book that I'm going to be talking about in a little while is about to go on. It's, let's see, we're February, March, April, May, June. It's 4-month break as well. And I feel like with books like that, especially when you're so into the story, one thing I don't like is the fact that they take breaks so long. You want to take a 2-month break, fine. That's just 2 issues, technically fine. But 4 months, 6 months, it starts to really make it. It's harder to remember an arc that way. I mean, I understand 4 months later, you start, let's say it's 6 issues. You start in June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You end the year with your arc, or you go into January, February as well if you're doing 8 issues. But still, that 4 months makes it rough. Oh, my God. It is the Undisputed Frost. What is going on, my friend Frost? Welcome to the stream. I say this as a person whose comic comes out 6 months. Celestial Falcon, so far it's been a 6-month gap, or more, actually, since the last issue. But, again, my book, it was known from day one. These books have arcs that go on afterwards. It's just they take a 4-month hiatus while having the stories. It just bothers me a little bit from Image, but at the same time, it's okay. So your book is next.
Yeah, you put in that order. Like
no, I know your book is next.
Okay, I didn't know if your book wanted to be next, but yeah.
No, my book did not.
All right,
want to
well,
be next.
mine is The Walking Dead, issue number 176. And the front cover here is a new character, or actually another new character that's in the book, and this is New World Order Part 2 of 6, who goes by the name of Pamela. But before we get into her, it starts off where we left off, where Michonne saw that the daughter was looking for her, and she was like really saying like, I have to know where my daughter is. Like, can you like show me or where she is? So basically it was like that. So before any of that happened, she says about how she was a lawyer, and she goes to Pamela, who was a lawyer, and then they get like this whole big thing where she talks about herself and the deals that they can make and whatnot for that. And at the end of this comic book, the daughter shows up. And right there was one of the, it was like so emotional for Michonne to see her daughter, and just like that whole thing. Oh my God. It was just, wow. Like after all that, just wanting to know where her daughter was. And she finally found her at the end of this issue. Really a great comic book issue.
TMNT Universe, issue number 19. Now, this is what I'm talking about with TMNT Universe. Granted, it's one of the Turtles, but it's oh my God. It's Wrath. It's Aliplex. It's them going after Null. I feel like Null is really like, they had their miniseries. Now they're also part of this. And it's Wrath and Aliplex finding out what's going on with Null, because they haven't heard from them in a while. So they break into a facility to see what's going on. And I keep forgetting the Scorpion woman's name. Her name was weird. But anyway, she ends up making a reappearance. Now, she was in the first story arc for TMNT Universe, for those of you that didn't know. And by the way, TMNT Universe issue number 1 now hangs, signed by Kevin Eastman. Right there on the wall. That's the variant from, I believe it was Baltimore Comic-Con. It was the Eastman variant, remarked and signed. But anyway, I really enjoyed this issue. Finally, a book where Raph and Aliplex, you get to see Raph. I feel like the writer got Raph perfectly. Artwork is way better than last issue. Oh my God, please. That hurt my brain, that last artwork. But I'm really enjoying it. Next issue continues. And then we also get a prequel. See, now this is how a follow-up story works. We get a follow-up story that is the Rat King that teases issue 81, which I guess will be the fallout of what's going on with the Triceratons. And I like that. I like that we're getting little teasers that, okay, so the next arc is going to involve Rat King. I like that. That's how you do a backup story right. And this is the first time, and this is issue what now? I forget. Whatever issue this is, it's taken them this long to actually make a backup story that I cared about. What's up, Alan? Alan's in comments. So now this is the book, one of the books I'm talking about. Paper Girls issue 20. This series goes about 6 to 7 issues. I guess this one went 10, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and then goes on a hiatus. This is the last part until June. Paper Girls will be returning in June. But one thing I do have to say positive about this is they always end the book on a really strong cliffhanger where it's the end of the arc. It's the end of the arc, and now we're going into a different part of time. They always end the arc where they're in a different part of time. This issue, they're in the future. They're in the year 2000, and they're being hunted down by the grandfather still, the high grandfather, whatever he is. And I love how KJ comes out fully to her friends about being gay now. And I love that there's a moment with her and Mac, a really strong moment in this issue. And also future, oh my God, I'm never going to get all these names of these girls right, but the future version ends up deciding she wants to go with them because she lost her boyfriend and everything's going to hell. I wish it was June. Come on. Oh, hell yeah. For summer, shoot. I wish it was June too, Justin. I wish it was June too for that reason. If not for that reason alone, for that reason alone. But anyway, they end up finding one of the robots, and they jump in, and they end up almost getting into a fight with the grandfather, a younger version of him, I think, because I guess the older version of him is, we saw him at the beginning of the book. I'm not sure. But what ends up happening is they time travel even further into the future where the grandfather actually is from, or the High Father is from, where they can't travel, but apparently he's not worried because he says they'll be dealt with in that time period, which makes me wonder what's going to happen next. And you see them all the way deep into the future. And I love how one of them's like, this is what I thought 2000 was going to look like. So I thought that this was a very strong ending. I like it. I like the teaser for the new time period they'll be in. I like the year 2000. Also, one thing I definitely want to do is get the hardcover for the first. I have it in my shop, in my cart. It's $20. I want to get it. The first 10 issues of Paper Girls. And then now with issue 20 done, I'm hoping they'll make a follow-up one where it'll be the next 10. Grab that, and then I'll probably trade paperback from there on. But because I'm so far behind, I'd rather get the 2 hardcovers if they do it. If anybody knows in the comments, or anybody can find out in the comments if they're doing a volume 2 with issues 11 through 20, I'd really appreciate any information on that. I have not. I'm really bad when it comes to trade paperback sales. I literally found out about Nightwing Volume 7, which is, I believe, coming out next month. Through buying the 6 volumes at Christmas time, through getting the 6 volumes at Christmas time, I found out that there was a 7th one coming now. I actually should start looking for the 8th one, but DCBS also advertises for DC, so then I'm not too worried about Nightwing and his volumes. But with Paper Girls, I'm not sure if they're doing a big old hardcover, and I've spoken too long. But Paper Girls is an amazing series. You guys definitely should be checking that out. And here we go. I bought Volume 3 by accident at my store, but I need to go on Amazon to get Volume 2. It's good. Jeremy, it's a very good book. But I'm sure you know that.
Van Helsing versus Robin Hood, issue number 2. So in this issue, we see that Robin Hood has got into the whole thing about becoming a vampire. That actually happens. And we get a little bit more informed about that, but as Van Helsing is like getting all captive by the people of not giving information about Robin Hood, she's just going around Robin Hood and just like attacking the other vampires. And the artwork in this is really awesome. I have to admit that. And the thing is that Van Helsing runs into Dr. Igor. And Dr. Igor, who is part of the people.
Your shop? Wow, Justin's shop doesn't get any Zenescope books anymore. I don't think.
Oh, wow.
I think only Midtown, DCBS, and anywhere that like gets like the whole previews magazine delivered to them gets those books. Unless, well, Justin, you could always ask your shopkeep to personally order those for you. I'm sure.
Yeah, and also Tess is in this issue, and Tess is the more like to be the stronger vampire in this that works with Dr. Igor, and Dr. Igor actually helps Van Helsing because the reason why is that he wants to help his daughter, the doctor, and he does everything that he can to do that. And there's like a long story about that of where he explains about it. So they actually find him and say that he's a betrayer. But now Van Helsing, who saved the doctor, here's the thing. If Robin Hood takes one bite from human flesh, she'll become a vampire forever. So now they have to find a way, because Robin Hood had encountered in with a human, and if that flesh is bitten, then oh boy, Robin Hood turns into Count Dracula Hood, or whatever you want to call her, vampire-ish, Twilight-ish going on, thingamajigger. I don't know. It's just like a whole big spiel about Robin Hood. It's crazy, I know, right? To imagine Robin Hood being a vampire, it's crazy.
You have comments.
All right, let me see. Mike always seems amazed. It's all, well, of course, because it's an awesome book. Isn't Igor Par Frankenstein? No, that's they named him Igor, but this is another type of Igor. For that, one is yours.
Rat Queen is good book. I'm far behind on it, but I have it in my digital list.
Why does this remind me of Dracula Untold?
I have no clue.
I don't know either. Legendary.
You know what, Justin? Nice. I heard good things about
that.
Rat Queen, but I haven't tried it yet. It's a good book. It's a good book, Justin. I'm just very far behind on it.
Legendary Red Sonja, issue number 1.
I like the steampunk cover.
Yeah, the steampunk cover is really awesome, as well as the artwork in the book. And I could just sum this up in a couple of sentences.
Steampunk?
No. Basically, Red Sonja, she gets into this whole gambling thing with playing cards, and then of course she causes trouble, and the guys want her head and everything because of all this cheating thing. That's what's going on. So she goes on this boat, and there's this woman who actually goes after her. That's part of their clan thing. And when Red Sonja saves her, I forgot what her name was. Tesla, I think that's what her name was. And she actually talks about admiring Red Sonja, like just talking about, like it was just like a whole big thing of just not asking her about something, and then it was just really really long dialogue, but it was actually really cool to actually
Twilight might
see that.
cause people to show remember the good old days. All I'm saying, with the history of this show, saying Twilight might cause people to show. No, Sydney won't show just because we said Twilight.
Yeah, but it was a really great issue, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the next issue is going to be for that. Tomb Raider Survivor's Crusade, issue number 3. Now, I really like this issue because this actually talks about Lara Croft on one of her adventures with her father, Richard Croft. Now, we all know, or for some of you who play Tomb Raider games such as I have, about the story about Richard Croft. So there was one memory that she had of him where they're like doing all these discoveries, and then you see how Lara grows into this whole exploration thing from learning from her father and what she needs to know and everything. And this was another heartfelt book that I liked about this because, I don't know, just someday I think that they're going to make a game of Richard Croft, like they did with Lara Croft, and that would actually be a good game about how he became this whole artifact finder that went into Lara Croft after that, passing on that generation to generation. But it was really amazing, and
that's how we're starting Marvel, really?
Yeah, right there.
Did everyone? Yeah, okay.
But really great book, and for those of you Tomb Raider fans, you'll definitely like it as well.
All right, lowest pick for me for Venom, and it's because it's in the middle of their Poison X arc. I guess because they didn't want the Venom series to go right into Poison X, they did a one and done story that bridges to Poison X. It's not connected to Poison X, but it's a before Poison X happened, even though Poison X started.
I hate to interrupt you. With Red Sonja, I just forgot to say one thing. The father of the Tesla is Cullen Goth, which is really irony. I just remembered. I'm sorry.
So Venom 161 breaks Venom 161.
Yeah. All right. Can I get the thing prepared?
Breaks the Poison X arc. It's apparently a issue that takes place before the main story, Poison X, even though the special, the X-Men Blue annual already came out. Venom gets a segue story. I found this issue to be weird, and Spider-Woman wanted to arrest Eddie and recontain the symbiote. The symbiote bonds with her, shows her everything that's gone on in its life and with Eddie, and says that the symbiote says it would go mad without Eddie, which makes no sense because if it was with Flash, it won't go mad too, but apparently it has to stay with Eddie, and it swears to keep Eddie in line. And I don't like how when Venom was Venom in the earlier ages of Spider-Man, we never heard from the symbiote. It was always Eddie. Eddie spoke for both of them, and you really didn't hear this weird kind of creepy relationship. And Eddie now, I don't know. Again, this is why Venom and me are going our separate ways. I did like the artwork in the book a lot, but after Poison X, or maybe even before Poison X ends, man, I got to tell you guys, I don't think I can do it. I really don't. I'm thinking about it now, and it's like, we'll see when X-Men Blue comes out, but I don't think I can do it. I mean, we all know now they spoiled it when they said a new team of X-Men are coming out for X-Men Blue because the X-Men are going to be lost in space. So my question is, how did the X-Men get lost in space, but Venom will be back? Because Venom's coming back. Venom is going to be back on Earth by the time this Poison X arc ends. So that's the only question I honestly have at this point. And when Venom comes back, he's going to be dealing with the poisons for the last time. And Venomized. Which I won't be reading, but still. I'm just pointing out stuff. Also this week, The Road to Infinity, Warlock came out. Adam Warlock. I didn't read it. I have it in my check out pile at least. So just be aware that one shot came out. Rogue and Gambit issue 2. I enjoyed this issue a lot because you finally get to see Rogue and Gambit just get a lot of stuff off their chest involving each other and how they disagree with their first meeting. Gambit remembers their first meeting and Rogue was under mind control. Rogue refuses to call that their first meeting. She considers the day after their first meeting, and later on in the book we find out why. She said she wanted the memory of their first meeting to mean something and not be because of mind control or this, that, or the other thing. And I respect that. And you could definitely see, you know, again, and I said this before, this is an X-Men wedding in the making because Kitty Pryde and Colossus were like this. Scott and Jean went through stuff like this. Now, granted, when it comes to Rogue and Gambit, this has been going on a lot longer and their relationship is more apart than together. And you don't want to marry too many of the X-Men to one another as well. I mean, granted, Scott and Jean, well, Scott is dead, and now you got Kitty and Colossus getting married. Gambit and Rogue, a lot of people have shipped together for a very long time as well. And I could see them getting married but going their separate ways at the same time. Like, you have Rogue with the Avengers and Gambit dealing with the X-Men Red Book. But at the same time, them being married and every once in a while having them pop together, I can see that as a relationship. But does this mean past X-Men are going away? Tevya,
Oh, God.
I'm just going to say stop. Tevya, stop. You know what the answer to that question is, and you're just going to complain when I say no, they're not. They're just going to be lost in space for a while, and then they're going to come back. But with Bendis fully going over to DC, I wouldn't be surprised if everything Bendis did in the Marvel Universe will slowly get undone to make it look like it was all Bendis' fault for all the stuff that went on that nobody liked, like yourself, and then make people like me, who have to deal with Brian Michael Bendis now writing not one, but both of my heroes, my favorite heroes, the books that I'll never drop no matter what, books for God knows how long. Bendis has been on books for 7, 8, 9 years. And my worry now is if he turns Superman into something I don't like, is that going to be another DC New 52 where I'm going to have to deal with it for 5, 6, 7, 8 years? Hopefully DC, if they see that fans aren't liking it, will be a little bit smarter than Marvel and pull them off. But he could do an amazing job with Superman also, or he might actually give up one of the books at some point. So there are a lot of factors, and I got to give Brian Michael Bendis the benefit of the doubt. We don't know why, what the factors were to him in Marvel. So I'm keeping a positive zen that he's going to do justice to Superman, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. My one concern is I don't like that he's making Action into a Clark Kent and the Daily Planet, while Superman is going to be all about Superman. So what happens to the family aspect book? Because Superman was the family book, which we see now with Superman and John, and Action was kind of like the everything else, the Superman, the Daily Planet, the everything else. You're taking away the family, or you're actually sacrificing a Superman story to do a family story. Again, I'm very worried for where Action's going more than Superman. Superman sounds like the way I want it to go. Action's the one that has me questioning. Runaways issue 6, and I could sum this up really quick. It's the Runaways versus Molly's grandmother. In the end, Molly ends up leaving with the Runaways, with the whole crew. They all end up leaving. But we find out that the grandmother has cloned Molly's mother. Twist of fate right there, man. But they all end up leaving in the end. And now they decide we're going to go home together. And I like how now all of a sudden Girth is kind of like is more questiony towards it and less like all for it. I'm enjoying Runaways. Now that we're done with this whole we are going to get back together, we aren't going to get back together, we are getting back together, we aren't, Molly's happy, Caroline's happy, now everybody's not, everybody realizes, hey, we're the Runaways, we're going to start running away from nothing again. We'll see where the book continues. I'm very interested. Very happy with this issue of Iron Fist. Iron Fist 77 ended the Chao Sin age, so to speak, once and for all. So this book's cover says it all. Chao-Sin versus Iron Fist. We find out why Danny disappeared into the book. He disappeared into the book to come back with a big old freaking dragon that literally slain all of Chao-Sin's followers. He comes back. Him and Chao-Sin get into an awesome fight. You've got Sabretooth that tears the hell out of the Rat of 1,000 or a Rat of 12 Plagues or 1,000 Plagues or whatever. Anyway, he makes quick work of him. Danny ends up beating Chao-Sin, and Chao-Sin ends up, spoiler here, he ends up getting eaten by a dragon. So Chao-Sin ain't coming back. And Danny kind of gets redeemed finally and recharged because as he's leaving, he's thanked, number one, for doing what he did. Number two, he's told there's always a home for him whenever he's ready to come, thanks to him. So now I feel like his key is going to be strong again because now he doesn't doubt himself. He doesn't doubt his connection to Kunlun because he's always welcome there. And he saved Kunlun, so thus he has fulfilled his prophecy of always being Kunlun's protector. And yeah, I liked how this wrapped up everything that's been going on with Iron Fist from issue 1 all the way to now perfectly with a bow. Now, my one said piece of news for you guys is I probably won't be reading. Well, I'll be reading, but I probably won't be reviewing Iron Fist until after June, July, if it's still going on. Because like Ben Reilly, like I forgot what other book's going with it, but like a few books, this is going to be connected to the event Damnation that is going to cross over between several books. I have a couple of one-shots, and I have no urge in the world to read a crossover with Doctor Strange. I have no urge to read this Damnation story arc. So I'll see if it's a contained story and not part of a big event, like literally where you have to read all of Damnation. I will read it and see if I'll review it. If not, once Damnation's done, which I believe it's a 3-month arc, we'll come back and we'll continue with Iron Fist. But I'm not promoting any event from Marvel. I might talk a little bit about Infinity because I'm sure everybody's going to want to hear. And, you know, it is a world-changing event. But I'll tell you guys, I don't support it. Don't support it. Don't support it whatsoever. And I would never tell anybody to buy it, even if it's one of the best series. They promised 11 months, and it's been 5. No, less. It's been about maybe 3 months. Not even the full year. Oh, well, good times ahead. Jonathan Hickman comes back to Marvel. Oh, cool. X-Men Gold 21. I could see why this is leading into the X-Men going to jail. So the Brotherhood from way back in the first arc, they end up getting free. They end up escaping jail. And who do you think they are targeting? The X-Men team, and of course the woman that hired them to make the X-Men look evil and mutants evil. So, first of all, Old Man Logan leaves the team. So Old Man Logan is not a part of X-Men Gold for now. As a matter of fact, it sets up for the arc that we are in the middle of right now, where Logan's like, my healing ain't the same anymore. I can't heal the way I could when I was younger. So he feels he's a liability to the team, and he leaves. He leaves, and he says, I'm going to go to Japan, I'm going to go to Canada, I'm going to go to all the places where I was. And this, of course, leads into the arc that Old Man Logan's in right now. So this tells you Old Man Logan is in the future for X-Men Gold. So he's left the team. He is not part of X-Men Gold anymore for now. And I feel like there's going to be a gigantic shakeup with not only the X-Men books, but I believe the titles as well. Because with Old Man Logan possibly on the way out, because our Logan is back, I don't know where the future is for X-Men in general. I feel like they've killed them off. Now they're bringing them back. Now they own pieces of Fox, so technically Marvel has the control over the X-Men movies again. So I feel like they're going to resurrect Cyclops soon. I just have that feeling. But anyway.
All right. This is in my opinion, the least pick. Like, not saying the worst or the best comic. X-Men Red issue number 1. This does follow after the Jean Grey story from what we've read with all that.
Yeah, that's why I started reading it, and I didn't finish Jean yet.
But it was basically Jean finds these new children who have mutant powers. And, you know, like, she looks for that. And then there's this guy at the news that says, like, oh, all mutants are nothing. You know, they should be banished. They're nothing but an abomination to this world and everything else, and yada, yada, yada. So Jean Grey goes out to find Black Panther, Namor, and all the other mutants that she has connections with to actually stand.
Black Panther? I don't think Black Panther is a...
Yeah, he was in it. I'll show you. I remember, you know, that he was in it. But, yeah, so she goes to all of them to try to, like, let them help her, like, you know, fight off against...
oh, Black Panther. What do you know?
You know, what's going on and everything. And just at the... But here's the thing, though, that gets, like, really... like, at the end of the issue, though. You ever heard of the person named Cassandra Nova?
Yeah.
Well, basically, he framed Jean Grey into murdering somebody by using her telepathic powers. And everyone now thinks Jean Grey killed them. And then he's like saying, well, now that I could control minds and everything, I will let everyone see red. Pun intended, XMen Red and everything. So basically, Cassandra Nova is going to be throughout this whole mind control. I mean...
Get to be in one comic. I don't know, Jeremy. I don't know when they get to be in one comic.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll get the next issue, see how it is. But just for me, with all the books I've read, this is like my lowest pick.
I do want to point out Amazing Spider-Man poked at a real, and I'm sure Tevya, who probably read the issue, got pissed off at this. Amazing Spider-Man, ladies and gentlemen. You guys know I'm not reviewing it because I'm not digging it, but I am still skimming the book because it is leading into the last Dan Slott story arc, so I want to be up to date, so when I get back to reviewing it, I know what's going on. And Norman Osborn has become, or has now been controlled by Carnage, so it's not the Red Goblin, it's literally Carnage, who has possessed Norman Osborn and is just using his body as a vessel, which was dumb. But they did point at one more day, because what's his name? Loki, the new Sorcerer Supreme, calls for Spider-Man. And I love how Spider-Man's like, I feel like I made a deal with a devil once and I lost something important. And I love how the editor pops in and goes, yeah, you know what we're talking about here. Hint, hint. And then one more day or whatever. So I feel like that's like a stick poking at the bear a little bit there. All right, you want to poke at the bear? That's fine. But I didn't like it. I didn't like that poking. So, unless you're willing to undo the stupid that Joe Quesada started, don't poke us. Okay? Please don't poke us, Marvel. That's all I wanted to say about Amazing Spider-Man. As far as enjoying it, it's there, I guess. I'll read the last arc. But that pissed me off, and I'm sure that's going to be Tevya's worst pick for that one specific reason. Dan Slott's doing this on purpose because he got kicked off. I don't know if Dan Slott's doing it on purpose, but one more day too coming soon. Don't even joke. What's up, Firestorm? By the way, so go ahead. I know. So now we're going into DC, but before we go into DC, like I said, I missed this book. Got to order from Midtown now. From Dynamite, The Shadow Batman, issue number 5. Damian gets taken down by Ra's al Ghul and is now under the control of Khan. And Shadow is getting the crap beaten out of him. Batman is lost, trying to figure out where they are. Finally, by the end of the issue, he figures out where they are. But now Damian's being controlled by Khan. Shadow is being beaten to a pulp, and it's up to Batman to save everybody. We'll see where things go. And that's a really, really shrunken version of this book. I love the artwork in this book. I'm not really... I don't know where this book wants to go. I really don't. I'm kind of confused. I know that Khan and Ra's al Ghul are the bad guys, but I don't know. I feel like, the last book, it was the Shadow wanting Batman to take over his role. Now, this book, it's all about punishing the Shadow for being the Shadow and Batman to save the day.
All right, now this book I reviewed for Comic Frontline, Green Arrow, issue number 37. And I see the title up there, The Fall of Red Arrow, which it doesn't really happen in this book. And, well, basically, let me explain. So, basically, Shadow fights off against Moria, that's from the Ninth Circle, whereas Black Canary fights off against Merlin after Green Arrow finds aid for Red Arrow, because, of course, she's still alive a little bit. So she gets hospitalized and everything. So with that, John Diggle actually comes in to save Black Canary from Merlin after that whole thing that happened where John Diggle was working with him and everything. Finally does something for once. That's good. So hopefully being on the good side. And then just, everything just is a fighting scene. But then here's the thing now. Oliver Queen is now on trial. And he's doing this whole thing of like saying, if I'm going to go on trial, I'm just going to go down swinging. So whatever happens, happens. And also Miko's fine. We all, like I said, we all knew that was going to be there. But we'll see next issue where everything goes from there.
Oh, he is his Twitter proof. He needs to talk and advertise comics and stuff. Yeah, I know Bendis is very strong on politics. Not Bendis. Slott is very strong on politics. Dan Slott is very deep into politics. That's why I don't follow any comic writer or artist that likes to throw in politics. If I'm following a specific person, I'd rather follow them for their tweets about their life, about the comics they're doing. If you're going to throw in a bunch of, look, we all have our opinion about the president, but at the same time, it's been a shit fair now for a year to 2 years almost with our president currently. And not only that, I'm not a political person. You all know this about me. The one thing that I don't like, there are three things you don't talk about: religion, politics, and sex. But at the same time, I don't like politics. Never like politics. It's like I'd rather talk movies and TV, and you guys know I rarely watch movies and TV. Politics is like, if there could be an absolute last thing on the list of things that I like, that's below that. It's that far down. It's lower than the least favorite topic or the least favorite comic or game or anything. I don't care about politics. I hate it. Half the time, I think politics is a bunch of garbage anyway, but beside the point, I know it's what's going on in the world and everybody should know what's going on, and whatever. There's a lot of bad things going on out there, guys. We need to focus on some positive stuff right now. We need to enforce it and promote it and get things on a high, bright place before we can worry about, we got to worry about the people of the world more than the idiots that are trying to run. And I don't mean just one specific person. I mean several people who are in a higher power. We have to not worry about those idiots and worry about the people. Those are the most important things. The unfortunate thing is they get more money than all the peoples put together. And they get our tax money. See, I don't want to think about this because this starts to make me mad. So, I gave up on politics years ago. Dude, I never was into politics, so I wasn't into it to give it up. Batman White Knight issue number 5. This is the issue where things start to go downhill for Batman. Napier has got the GCPD, Nightwing, and Batgirl on his side. We find out that the pills are starting to kill his insides possibly, and at the same time, Batman's not willing to admit that Joker or Jack has been reformed. So he's being stubborn about being reformed. Napier is kind of being stubborn about meeting Batman. They're both being stubborn about meeting each other halfway. And then you've got Neo Joker, which is the second Harley, looking to force Jack to bring the Joker back. And now Batman makes a move. Now, see, he's been going about everything. He's been making one bad move after the other. The GCPD, now teaming up with Nightwing and Batgirl, are doing a great job keeping Gotham safe. And Neo Joker makes a move, and Batman, who doesn't like the Gotham City police and Nightwing and Batgirl chasing after them, decides to chase after him himself because there's an attack on Wayne Manor, and it involves some connection with the Waynes and Victor Freeze's family. So he ends up chasing after them, and they get away. So Batman is blamed for the mess up, and Gordon goes, "This is a message to all GCPD. Batman is no longer a vigilante. He is considered a super criminal and is to be arrested on sight. He is no longer working for us," because obviously it's Batman's fault that they got away, and his stubbornness is really what destroying his legacy. And you can see Batgirl trying to tell him, and Nightwing is too busy trying to be the better person, or the better, be better than what he was. I don't even know what's going on in Nightwing's head, but anyway, Batman basically by the end of this issue has dug himself deep into a hole, and we find out that Victor Freeze knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne, but he is in deep. Batman is in deep, and we all know he's going to get arrested because we all saw White Knight issue #1. So we're going to see. We got to get to that point, and then obviously the story is going to continue from that point and end with, more than likely, if the pills are hurting Joker, we're going to probably see him either die or relapse. Did they announce what Hickman is going to be writing? I have no clue. Tevia, this is not really a Tim Drake story, so maybe he's just not there. Nightwing 38. I'm not really liking the Judge story arc. I'm really not. We find out he's making people offers to turn on Nightwing and to turn on Bloodhaven, and that's why everything's going downhill. Guppy ended up killing his father, just like we saw at the end of the last issue. Nightwing ended up getting betrayed by the detective, who is his friend from the very beginning, and now isn't his friend because he made her an offer for her daughter. And it's like, and then in the end, of course, Nightwing falls right into his trap. And it's like, I just want this arc to be over. By the time I finish reading each issue with this Judge guy, I want, like, last issue was cool. I liked that they went back in time and showed Robyn, Dick is Robyn, and we got the whole backstory with the Judge. But at this point, it's like, and then we also got to see Dick stripper. Yes, he posed as a stripper to get into a place. And it's like, good job, mate. Now, when is this story over? But anyway, that was Nightwing. Oh, God, please get better Nightwing, because a lot of people have dropped Nightwing. I'm this close. I'm not this close. I'm this close. If the arcs stay like this, I'm going to be this close. If the arcs get better, we won't have to worry, but I'm this close. This close. Which means 2 more arcs, I'll be this close. 1 more arc, I'll be done.
Yeah. Now, this comic book almost made it to my top best book of the week. Almost. And I'm talking about Swamp Thing Winter Special, issue #1, or One Shot. This is the 80 page.
I liked the art in this book. I will say that.
That and the story was amazing. Basically, it's Swamp Thing who has this little kid with him, and he's like helping him out through all this stuff that's going on, and they're like really connected, and like he's trying to tell Swamp Thing to not let the snow mountain monsters get him or anything, and he's just trying to say how the green is affecting him because the green keeps him alive, and with the cold, it's making him weaker and weaker, and he's dying. So, as the issue continued after all the dead that he's seen and everything else, he tells the boy that he has to kill him because he is the monster. Like, not the monster as we're thinking, like, to basically help him get into the green and to make him alive. So then after that, the whole thing where he just, where he wraps himself around him and just to try to make him be alive and everything, just the whole story. I have no words. I was speechless after reading this whole story, and this was like almost the top book. And then after that, they showed some artwork of other stuff. It wasn't a second story. It was like some artwork and stuff like that. And it was actually dedicated to 2 writers.
One who died
One who died years ago, and then the one who just died recently. And wow, it's amazing. I can't say nothing more about it. Really great book.
All right, the next two you guys should know already. Batman issue 40 we're going to start with. I called it. I called it. Exactly what happened with Superman Wonder Woman is what happened with Batman Wonder Woman. And what I did like in this book that I made fun of and that I'm glad that they did, because if you guys remember, I said this when issue 39 came out, that if they didn't do this, that made Wonder Woman look like a go around with whoever guy she's stuck with. When Batman said this is ridiculous, she said Selena deserves better, deserves not to be cheated on, just like my Steve Trevor doesn't deserve me being unfaithful as well. So I like that they made Wonder Woman classy in this book. I was like, yes, that's the one opposite that happened in this story arc that didn't happen in the Superman one. Wonder Woman was, well, then again, Wonder Woman didn't have Steve Trevor back then, so Wonder Woman was not with somebody, so she was more for it. But it didn't happen, obviously. With Superman, it didn't happen with Batman either. And the horde is everlasting. Believe me, you hear that a lot in this book. Catwoman finds out that the gentleman lied to them, but he wants to see his wife first. He sees his wife for a little bit. Catwoman's like, listen, my husband-to-be is stuck, and it's been years now. You're going back now, or I'm going to kill you, or hurt you really badly and force you to go back. So he goes back. Wonder Woman and Batman come back. Catwoman is worried. You see her crying because she thinks that something happened. Obviously, it didn't, and Batman kind of told her the same. And I think Wonder Woman kind of reassured her with the way she talked to her. And also, I like how Wonder Woman's like, the gentleman's going to call again, possibly. What do I tell him? And Batman's like, tell him to go to hell. And Catwoman stops him and says, no, say next time it'll be the three of us, not just the two. That Batman's wife is going to be with them. So it solidifies the fact that she does want to marry Bruce now. And I like that. I like that we're seeing that this is going to happen. This wedding at some point is going to happen. And we all knew Batman, you know that Bruce and Selena are the ones that are meant to be. Granted, Bruce and Talia had Damian, which the new 52 switched to, instead of them doing the to have Damian, she took Bruce's sperm and created Damian in a test tube. Beside that, Damian is Batman's son, but at the same time, Talia and Bruce don't have the same type of history as Selena and Bruce. This is the wedding that's meant to be, and I like it. I like this story arc. Glad it's done. Let's move on to the next one. The Last Days, Superman issue number 40. Love the beginning. I did love the beginning where Superman has John in the fortress, and they're learning that, it's the anniversary of the destruction of Krypton, and this is the day where Superman and John are mourning the loss of Krypton, and remembering Krypton. And then, ironically, Superman gets a call into space because his Fortress of Solitude, he puts out he puts out scans throughout all the universes and whatever. And ironically, people, it so happens that the same day that Krypton exploded, as they're celebrating the anniversary, another planet is about to explode. So Superman's like, I've got to go stop this. And John's like, but I want to go with you. I've never seen space. And it becomes a father-son. See, this is what Superman's all about, a family outing. So Superman and John go out into space, and they're going to save this world that, ironically, I've got to say this for the 5th time, ironically, this planet is blowing up at the exact same time, the anniversary of the destruction of Krypton. Do you see the irony in the way this story is being written already? Ha ha. Good job. So anyway, they're in space. They go to the planet. The planet doesn't want to be saved because they're like, if we die, it's because of our God. And they're all brainwashed except for a few. They end up beating up on John and Superman for a little bit. They end up escaping. They find a little bit of a resistance. And now the resistance wants to save the planet because the other idiots who believe the planet's going to die, and it's all because of this weird named God. Yeah. I'm not one to talk bad about a Superman book, but the writing for this was kind of a little... it's the anniversary of the destruction of Krypton, so we're going to destroy another planet and have Superman prevent it from being destroyed. Little cliche. Tiny bit cliche. Just tiny bit. I mean, come on, guys. You're only going to have this book for so much longer, and then Bendis. So I know Bendis is going to make this the action book, but come on now. This book had cliche written all over it. It did. I love the father-son moments. Do not get me wrong. And I love that Superman is teaching John about Krypton, and John is so dedicated to being half Kryptonian and wants to know more about Krypton and his heritage and stuff like that, and how he thinks it's really cool. But this story is just a big old written cliche, and this is why Superman is lower on my list than Action. But not saying it's bad. Thank you, God. We survived the New 52 Superman books, and we are now in at least a Superman realm that we recognize. Let's hope Bendis keeps that up. But anyway, let's Tamashi slide. He saved the title release. I'm letting Tamashi. Oh, you mean Peter J. Tomasi? I shouldn't Action be the act? I agree, and I think Jay and I both kind of touched on that a little bit on Frontline Live last week. That Action comic should have been the Action book, and Superman should have been the one that focused on Daily Planet, if anything. But hey, it is called Superman, so it'd be weird if it's the Clark Kent book and how Superman affects. I don't think that Bendis is going to stay on this kick long. I think that he's going to make Action an action-packed book when he sees that people aren't biting. If it's, I hate to say it this way, but as much as I love Superman, if you're going to make it a dull, boring, all about Clark Kent only being in the Daily Planet and examining how Superman affects the DC universe and all the cultures in Metropolis, your book is going to tank. It's going to tank. It's going to take less than 6 months if it has nothing but Clark Kent and culture and this and that, because we are reading a fantasy book and we want to see a good fantasy sci-fi tale of a superhero saving the planet from fill in the blank or saving the universe from fill in the blank, and to basically have a book that is like real life but in a fantasy world, not going to do well. So I foresee that if Bendis wants to do this Metropolis kick, it's going to last maybe anywhere from 6 to 8, maybe 10 issues. Oh no, I forgot, they double ship a month. So anywhere from 16 to 20 issues, and then it's probably going to end. And we're going to get back to some regular stories, because I don't see diehard Superman fans such as myself might enjoy it a little, might get a little tiring after a while, but I see at some point, if the sales drop, I see DC saying, hey, you know what? People aren't biting. I think it's time to bring Superman to the forefront of this again and stop examining all this other stuff. Right. Bendis screws this up all of yeah. I think, see, this is what I tried to say with, and I got we got into a whole debate about, well, I forgot how I said it, but Kat took it as, so you're saying that DC fans are more hardcore than Marvel fans, and I wasn't saying that. It's just DC fans, we have always been about the tradition. I mean, when New 52 happened, you saw all the old fans left, and just the new fans and a handful of old fans who knew this was a phase stuck around. And then when Rebirth happened, the traditionalists, the ones that liked the way DC was before New 52, started coming back when they started fixing DC. DC, the sales. Now, this is what I mean when it comes to DC editorial, though. Sales talk and bullshit walks. Marvel will let a writer choke a book to death before taking them off the book. Amazing Spider-Man. When DC sees that their fans, especially after the debacle of New 52, especially because now they're listening to the fans, they're listening, they want us to talk about their books and review their books, and they want their book, they want to restore the fan base they once had because of how many fans they lost during New 52 and how bad things got for them because of the New 52. If they start seeing fans say negative stuff about Action or Superman or both, they're going to really take it seriously at this point in the juncture where they're just fixing up again, I feel. And it doesn't have anything to do with DC. I'm not saying DC fans are better than Marvel fans. I read DC, Marvel, Indies. I read everything. My point is, though, DC fans are a little bit more about the tradition of their characters. Marvel has gone through phase and phase and phase and phase, and they don't care what anybody says. DC went through a phase for 52 issues and then went back to tradition. Granted, we're slowly going back to tradition with some of the changes in place, but DC is much more about tradition than Marvel, and the fans are much more about the tradition of their universe. So fans that are only DC fans are very different than fans that are only Marvel fans, strictly because they're different companies in and of themselves, but also because DC has been the way they've been since day one, and Marvel has always been the way they've been and just continue to do. And recently, in the past 10, 15 years, have just kind of lost the way. DC lost their way, but came back, thank God, within 4 years. Let's read what people are saying. I think the team book would have been better for Bendis. I agree. I would have loved to see him do something with at least the superheroes. I agree. I want Superman to fly around and punch stuff. What's up, Jesse? Welcome to the stream, by the way. Not sit around in office. Exactly. See, now that's what I'm talking about. And if fans start saying that, DC is going to start listening, especially because they're just fixing things. Better yet, have him. You can do Shazam. BMB would need to. Oh, Brian Michael Bendis would need to write it like Lois and Clark. I agree. If he does it like that, then it'll look good. I think if he does a Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman-esque script, it will work perfect. It would work excellent, by the way. I would love to see somebody write like Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Bendis, if you're listening, do that, and it would be perfect. From 2014 to 2017, Marvel drove fans away. Well, you could say that. DC Rebirth made them come. Yeah, DC Rebirth brought all the old fans back and kept some of the new fans. But let's hope. I mean, they're two different companies, and yes, there are two different. I mean, you can't argue which fan base is better, but they are two different fan bases. There are certain people, unlike us, that read only DC, and there are some people that only read Marvel. They're different fan bases, and the companies themselves have, different. It's hard to explain, but I'm not saying that either company has better fans or worse fans, or fans that'll bend more, fans that don't care, that fans that are less vocal. Both sides are vocal. Both sides care about their books, but at the same time, DC has a way of doing their books. Marvel has a way of doing their books. DC's fans are used to the way DC does their books, and when they change it up like New 52, you hear it, and you see people just not buy anything. And when Marvel changes things up, people on the Marvel side go, well, that's Marvel. Marvel's known to do this. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying either side is better, worse. Fans are better. Fans are more into tradition. Fans are more vocal. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the fans of individual companies know how each company works, and they both work very differently. And when it comes to DC, Bendis screws up. It's not like when he screws up in Marvel. Bendis screws up in Marvel, they take him off one book and throw him on 5 others. Bendis screws up in DC, they will take him off the book and put him on another one until he works in one book, and then they'll maybe keep him. Maybe not. Maybe they'll float him around if he starts to really screw things up. That's my opinion. It's all about DC management and how the companies listen to their fans and how their fans communicate with them. That's the big difference with both companies. Personally, I like all the companies. Marvel less than DC because I'm not really a fan of a lot of books in Marvel. And as you guys can see, I read. If we're only counting Marvel and DC, I read about 70% DC and 30% Marvel. Very soon, possibly 20% Marvel and 80% DC. I read way more DC than Marvel because I like the way their books are going. I like the way the structure of the universe is, etc., etc., etc. Marvel needs to fix things. But talk to me 2-3 years ago, and it was completely opposite. But that was because they were going through the New 52. So we have to see where things go with Marvel. Maybe Marvel will eventually fix up, and it'll be back to the 50-50 split between the big two. Indies, I always read a lot more. I'm not a lot more, but I have. If you throw indies in there, we have a big old different percentile range. But I do like reading a lot of independent books as well. But when it comes to just the big two, I read way more DC because I enjoy it more. So with that, that's it for this comic review, everybody. First of all, thank you all who have been here with us live. Jeremy Renfro, Tevia, Jesse, who popped in, Justin, who's been here since the very beginning, came in before everybody, Tevia, I think I said his name, Firestorm. We had Frost, who popped in all the way at the beginning. Frost, if you're still watching, thank you for popping in, my friend. Alan was here at the beginning, and I think that was it. Yes, that was it. I want to thank you all for being here live. But for those of you that are not here live, watching this post live, it's your turn now. Let us know what you thought about the books that came out this week. Like, dislike, agree, disagree, recommendations. We love hearing from you guys, and we love hearing your thoughts. I've been getting really awesome comments with thoughts towards things that we've been discussing. Also, as always, there is a donate button on the channel. It's awesome. It helps the channel. What do you call it? Oh shoot, I had it right in my head and then I lost it. It's not a requirement, but it does help the channel. So any little bit helps. Any little bit shows support for the channel. Nerdivision has donated up to $15, and of course, anybody who donates money always gets recognized. So thank you again, Nerdivision, for your donations. One was a 10 and one was a 5 towards the channel. I appreciate that. Like I said, they're not required, and like I said, we always we have a plan. Any donated money helps us get to that end game sooner. But thank you all so much for being here with us. Tomorrow night, Frontline Live. Don't miss out. 10 o'clock p.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time. And next week, we'll be back with episode 432. Thank you all for being here with us. Take care, and we'll see you guys really soon. Keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys in the next Dark Avenger comic book review episode. Later, everybody.
Later, everyone.